Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series, the edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitiesdownfall. More information in the description. Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 33. You wake up to an unpleasant throbbing in your brain. Your tongue feels like sandpaper, but it's not the worst you've ever felt. It's pretty high up the list, though. You also can't help but notice that the thing your head is on is not your pillow. It's far too warm, firm, and smooth to be your pillow. Not to mention that last time you checked, your pillow didn't have a long, lean arm that wraps around your back or claw-tipped fingers that gently rest on your side. Though, no doubt someone's made something like that. No, you remember that you got Solix into bed with you so you wouldn't be upset, drunk off your ass, blind, slightly deaf, and alone all at once. The exact details are a little hazy about how you came to that arrangement. Start at the beginning. You woke up. You and Gamzee went to the bar and started drinking. Dirk and Rose showed up with Jake. That went badly, you're pretty sure. The details of what was said are fuzzy, but you distinctly remember it being very sorry, not sorry, and you left them trapped in Tortuga as you bailed to go home with Gamzee's drink. You're reasonably sure you drank that whole thing on the way home. The ache between your temples is pretty solid confirmation, but you'll be damned if you can remember where you left the glass. Then you got home and Hal was here. You think he actually apologized, didn't he? He went to stay with Dad, so he was trying to give you space. Something about him operating off of guilt as well as concern for you. You might need to talk to him again, but you're pretty sure you're less pissed at him right now. And Solix. You remember showering. A particularly vivid memory leaps to your mind of him kneeling on the floor with his face so close to you that you could feel his lips ghosting your skin as he took your clothes off. Oh, fuck, you may have said some things you shouldn't have. You didn't do anything, though, right? You don't remember kissing him, and you're pretty sure that you'd remember that, and you're damn sure you'd remember anything more. You're also really doubtful that Solix would let anything happen with you drunk. All the same, it's patchy. You really hope you didn't say anything you're going to regret. Solix is definitely still asleep. You can hear his slow pulse in your ear and feel the sleep-slowed pace of his breath. It's nice and everything, but you need to get up ASAP. You try to casually slide away, but Solix's arm reflexively tightens around your back. Okay, new plan. You catch his hand and slide his arm up your back until you can duck your head under it and then rest his arm around his own chest instead of your back. Solix mumbles something in his sleep, and you feel him roll away from you. Success. A winner is you. You try to sit up ever so carefully, but it still feels like your brain slaps against the inside of your skull as you do. After several seconds of silently suffering, you dare to try moving again, this time by swinging your legs over the edge of the bed. That hurts your head too, but less than sitting up did. The quiet scratch of claws and a furry chin on your knee lets you know that you have Beck ready and waiting for you, and also waiting for you to pet him, which you do because you're not a monster. Out of habit, you reach for your palm husk, only to find that somehow you have your old one charging on the bedside table already. How'd that happen? The screen tells you that it's 9:20 in the morning and that you have a bunch of messages waiting for you, which you're gonna get to later. With your palm husk in one hand and Beck's fur in the other, you slip out of your room and let the door close behind you. There's no reason to disturb Solix just because you're up. You duck into the bathroom to pee, take some painkillers, and drink as much water as you physically can. You've just swallowed the painkillers, and you're partway through your attempt to drink all of the ship's water when you feel things shift behind you. The dark weight of Bro looms in a pretty distinctive way. GHB feels so much bigger, and something about psionic doesn't feel so much like, looming ominously. You stand up and sigh, wiping your mouth with the back of your hand. The someone in the mirror behind you jump scare doesn't work when I don't have eyes, you tell him flatly. How's that hangover? Bro asks, entirely ignoring your call-out and instead reveling in your pain. You ignore him back in turn and drink some more before leaning against the sink to check the rest of your messages. You don't want to speak to your family right now, but there could be something important from Nepeta or... Your dad messaged you.
Son, I hope that you are well when you read this. I fear that I have made an error in judgment and that my actions may have damaged things between us. I shouldn't have acted without speaking to you first. Even if my actions were mostly a lack of action, it doesn't absolve me from responsibility. I believed that you were in terrible danger, but I never imagined that things would go as wrongly as they did, or that I would, through my inaction, put you in the position that you were in. The last thing I want to give you are excuses and justifications, but I have to assure you that you are my son, and I love you beyond measure. I was afraid for you, and angry that anyone would hurt you so terribly. Lastly, I was ashamed that I had allowed this situation to pass. I won't push you or try to force us to speak after this message. I don't want to corner you or pressure you at all, but if you want to talk, either about what happened leading up to our arrest, or about this whole balancer situation from the beginning, or indeed anything else, I will be here for you. I love you, Dave. You are my son, and I am proud of you.
Oh, did Daddy let you down? Bro asks, his tone full of sneering, fake sympathy. You don't have to see him to know the self-satisfied smile that's on his face right now. You can just tell. And you thought he was so much better than me, Bro adds sharply. You unclench your teeth with some effort and reply. What happened to you? After we jumped the ship, what happened? You weren't all the way in the deep, dark places in my mind that I ended up, where Gamzee had to come and get me. You weren't around when I woke up, either. You ask him. You were too busy being weak and fainting like a lady. It took up so much energy from you that I started coming apart, but it takes more than that to kill me if this is your attempt at a threat, he says flatly. How did it feel? You question him, but he decides not to answer you, so you figure you'll just go on. I mean, I can only assume that it felt the way the last year of your life did, missing big chunks of yourself. Only, it's all of you, and you're aware enough to know it's happening, but you can't do anything. Because here's the thing. I was right on the edge of the void. It was doing everything it could to sing to me and draw me away from now and off into it. You say quietly. If you go near that, you won't come back, Bro hisses at you. Neither do you. Whatever you have instead of a soul dies with me, you say simply. You're not throwing yourself in there out of spite. This is a weak-ass attempt at a threat, Bro scoffs. I'm not threatening you, and I'm not going in there just to take you out either. Here's the thing, though. It's never been that hard to ignore the void. But now, my family has fucked me over, the ship is in chaos, I'm blind again, and my hearing's still jacked. Oh, and Jade's broken up with me, and we're probably pirates now. You list off. Really, you could go on, but you're not going to. I'm trying to remind myself that my dad loves me, even if he screwed me over yesterday. If you keep slapping things that make life any good out of my hands, how the fuck do you think I'm gonna find my way back here next time shit gets bad? So how about this? You stay the hell away from me. I don't want to hear your thoughts or opinions on anything, since you're chronically unable to let me live my life how I want to. If I don't have anything worth coming back to and Gamzee doesn't go looking for me, then you're dead. You hiss at him. You don't have a death wish. You're not looking to die. You'd really like for things to simply stop for a while, but not forever. But at the very least, if you did die somehow, you'd have some satisfaction at dragging him down with you. It's things like that which give the void's song a crack to slip through into your mind. You're not getting kids from me. Even if I did end up with someone who I could get pregnant, I'd never let that happen. I don't know about the rest of your kids, but this part of your shitty bloodline dies with me. And, in the spirit of telling you how shit is, I might actually be gay for Solix. You snap at him. I fucking told... Bro shouts at you. Yeah, But see, if I go beyond just making out with the guy like I have already, you don't stop for bro's noise of outrage, and actually date him or get my hands on his fun alien junk, and that makes it so the void can't eat me, then you don't have room to complain. If anything, your continued existence would be powered by the wonders of alien dick. I'm gonna... Bro starts. Gonna what? Make me so miserable that the void gets us both? Or are you gonna try that and get your shit handed to you by Psionic? And we're back on the ship now, and I know how much GHB loves ripping your limbs off. You gonna get in my dreams? We both know I can wake up, and you can't stop me from sleeping forever or it'll kill me. Besides, I'm not sure you want to see the kind of thing I'm dreaming these days. You tell him with a smile. Bro blips out of existence. You feel his absence like a weight off of your chest. You rest your weight back against the sink and sigh. Even when he's not here, bro's exhausting. Beck whines, obviously sensing your mood. Sometimes you swear he can see bro, but you're never sure. I know, boy, you say softly and scratch behind one of his ears. You have another drink of water and then decide to leave the room. The first destination is Beck's food bowl, but it's not there when you get there, which makes sense, you guess. If Solix filled it for you, then he wouldn't know where to put it. Not that you remember him filling it for you, but you have a suspicion that he would have stepped in if you were trying to blindly overfeed your dog. Beck would not have stepped in, which is fair. Beck, food, you whisper to him, not wanting to be too loud near your bedroom door in case you wake Solix up. Beck pads away and you find your way to the lounge plank to sit down. You have other messages you need to check besides your dad's, but you should really reply to him. I don't want to talk right now. Dave, you're awake. I hope you're feeling better now that you're out of the hospital, and I understand if you don't want to talk right away. I don't. Well, if you would like to at any point, please don't worry if I'm at work. I can step away for you. Okay. Is Hal okay? He's healing up. I think he's mostly over the concussion now, but Jane is keeping a very close eye on him. Actually, he's been sleeping in her bed since she wouldn't hear of him sleeping on the lounge plank in his state. Okay. Beck trots back over to you, and you reach your hand out to grab his empty bowl, only that's not what's there at all. It is a cereal bar, you think? Or a protein bar? He brought you people food, not Beck food. Your food, Beck. Bowl, you say slowly, and tear the package open with your teeth. You may as well eat it since you have it, and it's better than painkillers on an empty stomach. Okay, what else is there? Most of your siblings messaged you, and some of your friends. Kanaya hasn't, but Terezi has.
Dave, you, me, blind date tonight at my place. I won't see you there.
You don't know how involved Terezi was with all of this, and you think you'd prefer to know before you shut yourself in a dark room with her. You'd message her back about that, but you're well aware that if you say you're not interested in seeing her, it'll just cause more conversation, and you're too tired for that right now. Maybe later, when you know what really went down. You've not had this cereal bar before. It's one of those oaty ones with the jam kind of filling in the middle. Must be one of Hal's, but you're not going to feel too bad about Beck stealing it for you. Oh, important message time. Apocalypse Arisen began new chat, temporary balancer group chat. I've got this set up because I haven't added Solix to the actual balancer thread, and I can't add Carcat since he hasn't got a call sign yet. There's a whole council meeting at 1, and Nepeta said they want us there, and I want to know what's going to happen from here on out. But it seems pretty dumb for all of us to just show up there without talking to each other, and we pretty obviously have a lot to talk about and a lot of air to clear. So, we can all meet at mine at 10:30, and we can all talk and yell or whatever until we're all on the same page. I can show up to that, if I'm wanted there, that is. You're a balancer now, like it or not, so we want you there. Well, okay, I'll be there at 10:30.
Great. Jeez, why is no one else responding to this?
Fine, I'll be there. Just keep it down with the yelling when I'm there, okay?
Oh, wait, Dave's online. Dave, answer your messages. Dave!
Dave, come to our meeting. I have those electro drinks and the good shit painkillers. You get to watch, feel the bottom of your screen flick on and off of saying carcinogeneticist is typing. Multiple times. You're gonna take a wild guess and figure that Karkat's remembering that he's not Gamzee's Myril anymore, and what he does or doesn't do isn't anything Karkat can lecture him on. Still, you do actually want to reply to this. You mean electrolytes, right? Whatever the fuck they are, I have them, and the later this meeting is, the less I've got to share. I'll see about stealing whatever you've still got left when we get there. You won't.
Gamzee, no.
Wow, fuck you. Anyway, I can go make Solix be awake so we can go to this thing. Something drops onto the lounge plank next to you, and Beck's cold nose presses against your knee. You reach your hand out, hoping for his bowl, but it's a bottle of something instead. In fact, based on the cap and how it's kind of squeezable, you think Beck somehow found a sports drink for you. This isn't your bowl, you point out and poke him in the nose. Beck licks your finger and then picks your drink up again. I'm trying to feed you, you explain to him. You hear your bedroom door open just as Beck whacks you in the knee with the drink bottle. Ow! You protest, and Beck bops you in the knee a second time. Who am I supposed to report Bark Beast crimes to? Why is he assaulting you anyway? Solix asks as you pull the bottle from Beck's mouth before he can wail on you with it a third time. I'm trying to get him to give me his bowl because I can't find it and he keeps bringing me other shit, you tell him, waving the half-eaten breakfast bar and the now slightly slobbery bottle of sports drink. It looks a little like he thinks you need looking after more than he does. I can feed him if you want. I wasn't sure where his things were meant to go, Solix says. Thanks, man, you sigh. No problem. How are you? Solix asks, and you actually have to turn your head as he walks to hear him properly. You mean aside from being violently assaulted by a murderous dog? You ask. Obviously that part's terrible. We're lucky I got here in time. If I'd have been a few days later, he might have finished beating you to death with flexible drink bottles. Solix laughs, and you hear food hitting Beck's bowl and the pattering of excited canine feet. You hear Solix walk back over to you again. You're just done with your breakfast bar thing when he comes to a stop by you. You get the very distinct impression that he's watching you. The fear that you said or did something last night when you were drunk begins to rise within you again. Not to be speciesist or anything, but how long does it take humans to process alcohol? It's just, I don't drink much at all. It's usually only one or two if I do, since alcohol's a depressant and I don't need that knocking around my think sponge much. And all the human friends I have don't drink, or, well, I thought they didn't. So it's, are you okay now, or? Solix questions you a little uneasily. Aquarius would probably yell at me if he tested my blood or whatever, but I'm not drunk still, if that's what you're asking. It's just hangover time now, you explain, and focus on wiping off that drink bottle instead of worrying. It helps a little, but not completely. Oh, good. Not about your think sponge hurting, but the rest, he says. Did I, You don't look up at him as you speak, which is dumb because you're not avoiding eye contact here. You know, did I say or do anything last night? Could you ask a more vague question? Yes, you both said and did things because that's how being somewhere usually works. Solix snickers. You know what I mean, you argue and pop the cap off the drink. You got home, you and Hal had some kind of conversation. I'm not really sure what to call it, since it didn't end like an argument, but it wasn't a casual chat or anything either.
Anyway, he left, and you realized that you needed a shower since you were gross from the bar you were at. You asked me to help since you were blind. Your hearing was fucked up, and it was screwing with your balance, and you being drunk really wasn't helping. We got that done without anyone smashing their face into anything. I fed Beck and swapped your palm husks over, then we slept. He lists off for you, answering your earlier wondering about your palm husk.
But I didn't say anything that I shouldn't have.
You press him. Solix moves past you to sit on the lounge plank, and you can hear that quiet, almost laugh that he does. He sits down next to you, and you're pretty sure he's sitting on there sideways, with his back to the arm of it, so he's looking at you. You mean, did you go on weird tangents, or stumble through a whole bunch of innuendos and maybe flirted with me? Yeah. Like I said, I was talking to you. That's not the kind of thing that only drunk Dave does, Solix says, and you can hear the grin on his face.
I can't believe that you'd kick me when I'm down like this,
you say with forced and very fake hurt in your voice. Hey, if I kick you when you're up, you're really likely to chase after me and kick me back. I'm not doing that. Work smarter, not harder. He laughs. You open your mouth. A question of shouldn't he prefer that, since this whole thing is pitch, but you catch yourself just in time. You've already basically told Bro. You should try and see if Solix is actually interested in something here. You could ask him. You could ask him now. But a thought occurs. Gamzee and Karkat broke up, and weren't Karkat and Solix the big couple that never was? You're not sure you should try to slide in here at the 11th hour, not that you know if Solix even knows about that or not. It's not like you're going to tell him, since telling people about Karkat's breakup is pretty weak revenge for what he did to you, and you're not in the revenge game anyway. Say something else.
So, I wasn't weird with you then?
You ask instead. I'm just giving you shit. You were fine. It's not like it was going to go entirely unmentioned that there's something between us when I was literally taking your clothes off of you, but I wasn't horrified and scandalized. No one was a creep. We were all fine. Solix tells you, a little more gently.
Sorry anyway, you mumble.
It's whatever. I'm sure you'd do the same if our places were swapped. Anyway, I wanted to check that you didn't need my help with anything now that you're sober again, he asks.
I mean, not really. Normally when I know I'm going to be losing my eyes for a day or two, I set up wherever I'm staying at, so I know where everything is and what I have, so I'm a little less prepared now, but I'm basically fine with just Beck. You really don't need to treat me like I'm delicate or whatever. You mutter that last part defensively.
Well, yeah, but you're not normally dealing with recently burst eardrums, too. Your balance last night was pretty bad, and I wanted to be sure that you were okay now. I'm only asking because Taldirk and Roxy want to get together to get another look at this virus and start putting together a fix for it. I can also see that we're apparently going back to, I guess, just Aradia's place now. He starts, obviously getting caught on addressing his former hive as only Aradia's.
I'm not meeting them, you say quickly.
Yeah, I got that impression. Also rude, I didn't invite you. Anyway, the place Hal picked out is like 5 minutes from there, so I could go there before this whole balancer thing and then get over to Aradia's when it's time, but I'm not going to do that if you're going to stand up and fall through some furniture. I'm not shitting on your ability to deal with things when blind, it's more that you deliberately spaced yourself. You know, the thing used to execute people? So, considering that, I don't think me asking if you're okay with me leaving you alone is all that overbearing. Solix points out.
It wasn't that bad, you mutter.
On your left, Solix says. You're bewildered for a moment until he smacks you in the arm. It's a method of executing people, Solix says loudly.
Did you just warn me before hitting me?
You ask in total confusion. It wasn't even hard or anything, just like, don't be a dumbass kind of thing. I'm not trying to make you leap out of your skin here, just trying to see if I can dislodge some of the stupid in you, he says. A memory flickers to the surface of your mind. Solix's psionics coming out of nowhere and him apologizing for scaring you. He's trying to... That's separating him being affectionately antagonistic with avoiding the actual terrifying parts of your past. Oh. That whole tangent aside, I take it that you're fine with me going out earlier than you and leaving you alone? Solix asks. You should tell him. Fuck, you actually really want this. Jade never treated you like something fragile and helpless, and he's not doing it either. You want this. You really do. I kind of got the impression that you're not really talking to your family right now. I wasn't about to tell them everything about how you're doing, but I could pretend that I've never even heard of you before, if that's what you're worried about. He adds, obviously thinking that your big pause there was because you weren't sure about him going or not, instead of you getting steadily more and more sure that you want to be with him. Shit, that'd be funny. You never met me. Dave who? You say weakly. Don't know anyone by that name. Oh, the room next to me in our hive? Why, that room's been empty for 50 years! Solix says dramatically. This Dave does what now? No, I've never heard of this savory sister and heavenly Jeffrina, but it sounds great. You add. No, I don't know if I could go that far. I'm going to get ready to go then, in real clothes that aren't a uniform. Solix exclaims as he gets to his feet. I think I have to go draw that comic now, you whisper, already feeling the inspiration building. Well, if you're going to be looking at your terrible comics, I think not having eyes is the best option. Wait, why am I... There's no point closing the door. You can't see me. Solix mutters that last part to himself. You're about to ask what he means by that when you hear fabric hit the floor. He's getting changed. Taking his clothes off. Getting naked with you right there. Then again, he took yours off last night, so, you know. Is your heartbeat always this loud? You swear it's so loud that Solix can hear it. Hey, I meant to ask, Solix says with a backdrop of shifting fabric. Can I check out your palm husk later? It seemed really cool, and I don't know how I never paid attention to it before. You can hear a zip closing. Yeah, sure. Cool. Okay, I'll see you at Aradia's. I wonder if she redecorated. Solix says thoughtfully as he moves past you. Tell me all about it afterwards, I guess. You agree, a little mindlessly. Most of your thinking power is still centered firmly on Solix's body, or your mental image of it anyway. Sure. Later, Dave. Bye, Beck, Solix says, and then your front door opens and shuts, leaving you alone. You really need to do something about this, and soon. You just wish you had someone to talk to about this. Normally you go to Rose with your problems, or depending on the problem, one of your other brothers or sisters. Sometimes your dad, if you were dealing with interpersonal problems outside of romance. They're all struck from your list now, at least until you can figure out what you're going to do with them. You can't ask Aradia or Jade because their perspectives are going to be off, and you're not going to hit up Karkat because he's obviously not impartial, and needless to say, you don't trust him right now. You're going to have to sit there and listen to Karkat talk during this meeting thing, you're sure of it. Exactly what you're meant to do about that, you don't know. You're obviously pissed that he fucked things up for you so badly. You're horrified that he saw all that information in your file and that he showed everyone. You don't even know 100% of what's in there. You saw enough when Gamzee met you in the Shuttle Bay exit to know that your past was now public knowledge. But you're also well aware that having to sit there and read all of that or listen to the videos is going to be the kind of thing that fucks you up for days. And between reading all of that and literally anything else, you think you know what you're intending on doing. No one was ever supposed to see that stuff. You didn't want that. It didn't seem like so much to ask. But the people you trusted the most looked at all of that shit in detail and then kept those files somewhere where they could end up being sent to everyone. No one even thought to not look at all of that or stop everything the moment they saw it and wait for you to get back so they could talk to you. No, everyone else thought they'd do what they wanted and you have to sit there and be grateful. Bro's barb about Dad letting you down really got you deep, which was obviously the point. It took so long to trust Dad after every adult in your life had proved that they couldn't be trusted. When you finally did trust him, it pissed Bro off so bad because you hadn't trusted him since you were really little. He wanted you to believe that Dad didn't give a shit about you either. All he cared about was collecting kids like him. Since June, Dad, Dirk, and Hal are all trans, Bro was pretty clear that this was part of some very ill-defined plan, and Dad definitely didn't give a shit about you. Obviously that's bullshit. What sort of nonsense plan is that? Step 1. Adopt 2 trans kids and their siblings. Step 2. Step 3. Step 612. Evil scheme complete! So, no. You don't think this was the final part of Dad's obscure master plan. But you trusted him, and he let this happen. You're pretty sure, from your half-remembered conversation last night, that Hal, at least, was acting out of panic and guilt, as well as fear for you, which doesn't make it better, but given your terrible home life with your parents, you've all got bad reactions to seeing each other hurt or in danger. But Dad, June, and Jane don't have that. Karkat and Kanaya don't have that. You don't get to not work with Karkat, though. He's a balancer. Yada yada, fate of the ship resting on you doing your job, which includes working with him. What do you think, Beck? You ask him. The problem with a dog like Beck is he's way too smart. He picked up all of the normal doggy commands when he was just a little pup and then proceeded to start aggressively learning more, regardless of what people wanted him to learn. After Jade's parents died, he picked up a lot of helper stuff, like fetching items when Jade needed them and putting stuff away. He got really good at picking up emotional distress and always tried to fix it. So, when you showed up, you got to be Beck's big challenge, which he adored. He got to be around you all of the time. He learned loads of new things. He got to help. He's also got a weirdly big vocabulary. If you say someone's name, he knows who you mean. Same with items, too. Jade tried to test how much he knew at one point, but he absolutely played dumb, since that was a fun new game, too. Always learning new things. He also learned tricks you didn't mean to teach him. He knew speak from years ago, but he worked out that if you asked him what he thought about something, he could answer, and it usually entertained you. You can have a long back-and-forth conversation with Beck if you want. So, that's why, when you ask Beck what he thinks, you get back a thoughtful, "Oh, oh, oh, whoa," in response. I mean, I don't know if I'd say that. You say, "Oh, oh, oh," Beck says back. Okay, but what about Solix? You ask. Beck howls with enthusiasm. Not that you can blame him. Fuck, man, me too. You laugh. You should probably get dressed, so at least that way when you get distracted, you don't have to deal with that when you're in a rush to leave because you lost track of time. Probably thinking about this whole Solix thing. Beck pants loudly, the kind where you know his tongue is just hanging out of his mouth. Look, he's hot, but that's a little objectifying. Do better, man. You remind Beck, who whines theatrically. You do get dressed, but you let Beck pick your outfit, because why the hell not? Predictably, after that, you do indeed get completely distracted drawing an alternate universe edition of Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff, which you will email directly to Solix. You actually can draw reasonably well, even when you're blind. You simply choose not to. You can't be as good at bad art as you are without being very good at it first. You gotta learn to walk before you can deliberately sprint off of a balcony, breaking your legs and crushing several people below you. Or something like that. Anyway, the point is that you end up late to Aradia's place, which is pretty much exactly what she says to you when you get there. "You're late," she says as she opens the door. "See? Like you said." "I'm fashionably late," you correct her.
Let's just stick with late."
Aradia snorts and walks away from the door so Beck can lead you in. You're not sure if Aradia has moved stuff around, and you've not been in her hive too many times blind, and if you're honest, you often forget to mentally map places out so well when you're sighted. "Fashionably late? Dave, looking at you gives me a hangover." Solix cackles from the direction that you remember the lounge plank being in. There's a groan from the floor a little way to your left. Their hive has a little entry hallway, so there's a tiny wall that cuts into part of the room, so the TV can be on one side, and people can hang their stuff on hooks from the other side of the wall. So that Gamzee-sounding groan came from the floor in front of the TV.
I thought you had the good stuff,
you remark as you sit down on the floor.
Yeah, at the bar,
Gamzee mumbles.
Dave, you don't have to sit on the floor. I've got these pull-out,
Aradia's talking and furniture moving stops as Beck happily hops up on whatever seat she got out. You turn your head and get a good look around you. There's the dark, hulking weight of GHB over by Gamzee. Damara's sharp white slash of light is leaning against the wall on the other side with... Yeah, you're not so familiar with the newer ones, but the one right next to her feels a lot like Matuna. He's got a higher, brighter energy than Damara or Signless, which makes sense since there's a light and a dark impression off to Solix's side, their binary shades pressed up against each other. So, Karkat must be here too. He's just being unusually quiet. Gee, wonder why. I'll get Bro here then. Make it a full and really haunted hive, you say.
How is he? He was literally in pieces when you were unconscious,
Aradia asks.
He's back to his normal self,
you say flatly. Wow, I have mixed feelings about that, Solix sighs. You hear Solix go, right around the moment you feel Psionic move. His whole shape-shifting deal is really weird when you're blind. You can't see his shape, but you definitely pick up more of his emotional state now that you're not distracted by the visual stuff. He seems confused and a little alarmed, but you're not sure why. Surely he saw you in the hospital too. He touches you, and an impression of, hurt and time flickers into your mind. Talking to him can be like weird charades. I'm not hurt, or not really. They took my eyes out, you explain. Terror and panic flares through you, and a bunch of sharp memories that aren't your own, flashes and awful impressions of being helmed. You scramble back from him and nearly gag at the feeling of being awake for all of that. It's not like... You try, but shudder all over again. Over to the other side of the room, you can hear Matuna picking up, and his distress is obvious. There's a hasty scuffle of feet and hands and denim on rug.
Hey, no, it's not like that. It's nothing like the helm.
Dave's blind. His normal black and red eyes are all mechanical. He just needed them changed after going outside. He's fine. He wanted them put in, Solix says soothingly. You're far away enough to not get everything from Psionic, but you can feel him calm a little. No one did it to him. He wanted it, Solix reiterates. You hear an uneasy and uncertain noise come from the direction of Karkat, but you can't say or do much right now. Sorry, Solix says quietly, probably to you. Solix moves back, and Beck jumps off of his stolen seat and gets in front of you. He nudges you to move a little, and then shoves you onto your back and lays himself across your chest. See, Jade found the whole comforting weight on your body thing helpful when she would get overwhelmed or upset when she was younger. For you, it's mostly like being squished by a giant fluffy dog that's not going to let you up until he decides that you're okay. That went terribly. Why not make it worse? You wheeze under Beck's weight and drag Bro into this. The hell do you... Bro's demand trails off as Psy prickles with agitation, and you hear GHB chuckle to himself quietly. Hey, not that I didn't enjoy watching Undead Mortal Kombat last time, but maybe cool it for now? Solix asks. It was a fluke, GHB growls, and in return Psionic treats him to a spliced-up section of a laugh track. Bro evidently realizes the same thing at the same time as you do, namely that there's no way that GHB is bitching about Bro losing to Psionic, which means that evidently Psy has taken on a one-man crusade against shitty father figures. He beat you? He can't even talk! Bro laughs. Psy's smarter than you are. Now shut the fuck up. You're here to listen. The last thing I want to do is hear you talk. You snap at Bro, who thankfully does shut up. Cool, now that we've got that... Aradia pauses, and you can hear Signless, you think, talking? It's not just me who can hear you, Signless. Aradia was talking. Karkat hisses, setting off more ghost chatter. Ugh. You pull your palm husk out briefly. Hey man, how are my eyes coming along?
Oh, Dave, they aren't ready yet, and even if they were, your biology isn't healed enough yet to accept them. I'm taking the opportunity to make them better than before for you.
Okay, but you have my eyes there, right?
Of course.
Cool. Since I don't have them on me right now to do it, but I want to, roll my eyes for me.
I am not going to roll your eyes for you.
Are you putting the old ones back in me?
Well, no. Like I said, I am improving the design for you, which really means new hardware, so these would not be reinstalled, no.
Great, so there's no harm in rolling them for me.
This is exceedingly foolish.
Do it.
Fine. Consider your eyes rolled.
Thanks, man, I appreciate it.
Anyway,
Aradia says again, loudly, and you lower your palm husk to your chest. Can we not yell? Gamzee whines.
Anyway,
she goes on at a lower volume.
We all really need to talk. We can't plan for what we're doing in the future if we're not all upfront about what's going on now.
I should start off by apologizing. Karkat starts. Or not, you cut in.
I'm pretty sure I owe you an apology. I'm pretty largely responsible for a shitload of terrible information about you getting out. I'm the reason that you...
Karkat starts out. Yeah, except it doesn't matter, you tell him flatly. From his place on your chest, Beck presses his nose into your neck and whines softly. You pet him one-handed. Why doesn't it matter? Solix asks uneasily. 'Cause he's a balancer now. He's light. That means he's either gotta work with me or Gamzee, since you're way too new to be teaching anyone the ropes. So, seeing as Karkat fucked me and Gamzee both over, it doesn't matter if he's sorry or not, and whichever one of us gets to deal with him is basically down to who can handle being around him. So, since I don't have a choice, I prefer not getting a non-apology that makes me want to put my fist through his face. You explain.
Not to discount how Karkat entirely upended everything for all of us, but Dave's the only one who got his past announced to the whole ship. I kind of figured he'd be working with Gamzee, and I'd be teaching him and Solix both about light stuff.
Aradia says, uncertainly.
We broke up, Karkat says quietly.
What?
Aradia and Solix shout at once.
That's loud enough to make even you wince, and you catch Gamzee's groan of audio agony.
When did that happen?
Aradia asks at a more reasonable volume.
Yesterday, after you two left,
Karkat says softly.
Oh, fuck, I'm sorry,
Solix says in a clearly stunned voice. Yeah, right, Gamzee mutters, but not so quietly that even you, the guy with hearing damage, can't still hear him.
Seriously? Look, man, we're not friends, but you're not exactly special either. Literally all of us have had a 10-year relationship kill the fuck over and die really recently, so forgive me for having the tiniest bit of empathy for you.
Solix hisses at him.
Wait, no, not Dave and Jade too.
Karkat gasps.
Oh, yeah, that also happened when we were away.
Aradia says brightly.
Fuck!
Karkat yells at ear-splitting volume. You grab your palm husk from under Beck and fling it right at Karkat's head, only realizing how dumb that is the moment it's left your hand. Solix gasps, and for a moment you worry that you nearly hit him too. Across the other side of the room, Karkat makes a noise that's half pain and half offense.
Let's not throw vital assistive tech at Karkat,
Solix suggests and drops your palm husk on the floor by your head. He must have caught it in midair.
How did you even get your shoe off that quickly to throw it at me?
Karkat protests from the other end of the room. You guess Gamzee had the same reflex, but he just didn't fling anything breakable at Karkat. You hear Signless saying something, with the other light ghosts chipping in their own thoughts. Beck, let me up. Can I get a translation here? You ask, and shuffle back off of your chest. He still stays firmly in your lap, though. It's fine. You don't need circulation in your legs. Signless said that we should either resolve our disagreements now, or if we can't, then work out what arrangement we need to make. Matuna's saying about strategy, and Damara's saying that this isn't rocket surgery, since there's no way she thinks me and Gamzee can work together. Tolix explains. You hear Gamzee click his fingers, and you're gonna guess probably points at Damara like, you got it, but he doesn't verbally agree. That's pretty much like what I said. It's not like there's a lot of choice here, so what I think about it doesn't matter, you say with a shrug. I'm a little surprised he had the balls to do any of that. Short and Shouty wasn't someone I'd have put down for leaking everyone with all of that. Family's one thing, same with your dad's kids and whoever they're fucking or whatever, but him? Bro observes. You can hear that note of irritation coming from Solix, but you know Bro well enough to pick out his tone. He's not being antagonistic. Well, okay, he is, but he's speaking, so that's a given. He's not aiming to antagonize you. This is actual curiosity. Figuring out how people tick is about the only thing he genuinely likes, and if he's actually wrong about something, then that puts Karkat in the very unfortunate position of being someone who has piqued Bro's interest. That's a stupid question. GHB laughs. Bro mutters something under his breath that even you don't catch. It's not like he and GHB have a lot of conversations, and there's only so many responses to being told your question was stupid. It's in his genes. That one was a revolutionary until they wrapped burning iron around his wrists and left him screaming to... GHB doesn't finish his sentence before an ear-splitting... You heard something like it once, when you were getting cross-trained on electrical stuff for some of the repair courses you've been in. The instructor was like, this is a Faraday cage, this is why we use it, and promptly discharged this huge bolt of electricity that harmlessly slipped past all of you. The sheer atom-splitting power and sound of that is the closest thing you can compare it to. You don't need your eyes to see what happened. GHB talks shit about Signless's horrifying execution, then yeah, he's gonna get his ass handed to him. Holy shit, Bro whispers in delight. Evidently, that's way more fun to see when it's not directed at him. Can you do that quieter? Gamzee grumbles. Can we have a translation of what that was about? Aradia asks with a sigh. You're not voicing Bro's opinions, and no one else speaks up, so you guess they're not going to. Or so you thought. He didn't get Karkat's motive for tearing everything down, since it's not like he's family or quads with anyone in that family. He didn't think Karkat would do something like that, and then... Gamzee trails off. GHB made a comment about where Karkat gets that kind of attitude from, saying about what happened to Signless. Hey, you got him. Can you just... Solix falters, and you can feel Psionic crackling about in a tense little circle. Well, see, this was my point. This is why we need to dig everything up and examine it all. Aradia points out. This isn't archaeology, AA, Solix says. And I don't care, you add. Clearly you do care. People who don't care don't have to keep declaring it, Karkat argues. Or, bold idea, how about you shut the fuck up? You counter. Fuck, he ain't even single a day and you're throwing spades? Gamzee snorts, clearly joking. You still hear the noise of offense from Solix, though, but you're not dealing with that now. I'm not dignifying that with a response, Gamzee, but I agree with Aradia. We obviously need to get this sorted out. Karkat sighs. And I'm not interested, you repeat. I'm interested, Bro reminds you. What did I just tell you this morning? You say sharply, turning your head in his direction. Fine, you can be not interested, but I can at least talk at you if you're not going to talk with me, Karkat says. You bite back your knee-jerk reaction to point out that Karkat talking at people who aren't interested is literally nothing new for Karkat since forever. It's not helpful, and it just makes you look pissy and petty at this point. No one speaks for a moment, but you can hear Karkat shift on the lounge plank. He's the only one on it right now, since Gamzee opted for the floor, and Solix is between you and Karkat after having to come down here to get Sai, leaving Aradia and the remaining ghosts to line the rest of the walls. Karkat sighs and starts to talk. I am sorry that I watched videos about your past and that we read things about it. We were trying to work out what had happened and what was going on with the Void, but I know it was a huge violation of your privacy, and even if we didn't start out seeking that information, we still kept looking at it. I'm sorry that it got out to everyone. That wasn't the plan, but I know that doesn't help you now. Karkat starts.
It doesn't help. Thanks for fucking shit up for me.
You snap at him. Yeah, that's fair. And Gamzee made the point that I could have talked to him about this, or waited for all of you to get back, which, if nothing else, would have meant you weren't so blindsided by all of this. To be clear, my plan wasn't to screw everything up in a catastrophic fashion and spend a whole day crawling through all the ventilation of the ship, only to get caught and threatened with execution. That wasn't the plan, Karkat says.
Now, look, this is just a slightly less self-righteous version of what I got from Dirk and Rose.
You say tersely.
Just real quick, can I say that I'm entirely motherfucking impressed that you didn't knock either of their asses out. I could feel all that fury rolling off of you, and I know you can land a punch blind.
Gamzee interrupts.
Yeah, well,
you say through gritted teeth. It's not that you weren't tempted, it's just that family assaulting family is something you're all way too familiar with, and that's a step towards bro's shoes that you're not taking. Yeah, I got vague details about that. Apparently it went badly, Karkat says unhappily, and Gamzee laughs.
Let's just cut through the crap if you're really wanting to do this,
you say finally. Alright, Karkat agrees.
I don't care if you can't plan anything and it all went wrong. I don't even care how you managed to accidentally leak everything about me. What you were or weren't told, whatever. I don't care. Here's my question for you. What made you think you were right?
You ask Karkat. There's a pause.
Go on then. You had so much to say. You snap.
No, I'm trying to work out what you're asking. Do you mean what made me think I was morally right in what I did? Or are you asking what we read or saw that made me convinced that it was accurate enough that I had to do what I had to do? Or are you getting at what my, emotional motivation was? What are you asking here? Karkat asks.
Fine, all of them. Start from the last one and work back.
You say in exasperation. Alright, so that'd be what made it feel emotionally right. A whole conspiracy felt wrong. We'd all been lied to our whole lives, and that's not right. Obviously, your leaders keep some secrets to protect people, but something that big is inexcusable, and compelling all of you to serve this cause whether you want to or not is fucked up. It felt wrong, so I tried to make it right. Karkat answers you.
And me, in my past?
You prompt him. It felt wrong seeing all of that, and that part I really am sorry about. Obviously, everything that was done to you was wrong, and you'd have to be a monster to do that to a kid. There's no way that whole thing isn't wrong, and you blatantly know that, and I know it. Karkat says slowly, like he's not sure what answer you want.
Not trying to rescue us fucked up kids then, huh?
You challenge him, nodding at Gamzee. You're not kids. I can't undo what they did. Obviously, I wanted to break a system that was exploiting you, but I didn't think of Gamzee as some helpless kid, or you. You're adults being exploited, yeah, but I'm not here as some knight in whatever kind of armor. I'm not under any delusions about being the big hero. This wasn't some bulge-jerking ego trip on my part, I promise. Karkat says that last part flatly. You're not sure if you trust Karkat at all right now. On the other hand, you remember Hal being pretty clear that his own motives had got all wrapped up with guilt, and Karkat doesn't exactly sound like he's coming from that angle, which, like Bro said, leaves a question of what his angle was. Fine, go on. You prompt him. Right. Shit, what was the second thing? Literally made a list of 3 things and I forget. Karkat hisses. Factually right, that was the second one. Solix adds, helpfully. There is a silence. A loud one. In the interest of subtitles, Karkat is giving Solix a look. Aradia chirps. Anyway, factually correct. There was information that matched up. It explained things that Reader told me. Your mom's research matched with what happened with Vicari, and when I got involved with Void stuff. I could feel it when Gamzee and Fazar balanced at the bar. I'm sure there's loads of stuff that's not quite right in your mom's research, and her research methods were impossibly shit. Karkat lists off. I'll remember that, Bro hisses. He can't do much to Karkat, but you're pretty sure he can take out Karkat's ancestor. You know, if you forget about the painful death by angry psionic that would immediately follow any attempt. I don't pretend to be a scientist, but your sisters are, and they looked this stuff over. From what we could work out, there was no reason to think that everyone on the ship knowing about the Void would plunge us all to our deaths. Even your mom said the experiment was terrible. It was nowhere near what she designed originally, and she thought the data was shady as shit. Most likely some assholes who don't understand that saw her results, got spooked, and decided no one should know, because people are stupid like that. Karkat argues. See, that isn't what you got told about that experiment. Not at all. However, the idea that your parents lied to you in order to make you do things is neither new nor shocking. You're not even going to give Bro a chance to mock you for ever trusting anything either of them had to say. As someone who was very much in favor of everyone knowing, I still have to ask. If I gave you a big red button and said if you press it, everyone dies, but you decide it won't do that. Like, it's not connected to anything, you can't see any way it'd kill everyone. Would you decide to put it somewhere safe just in case, or would you stand there smacking it just to see? Aradia asks curiously. More like if you gave me a big red button and said if you press it everyone dies, but I figured it wouldn't, and also it not being pressed meant that everyone was being lied to, people were being harmed, and I would be made to do a job I never asked for, then yeah, I would, Karkat retorts. What gives you the right to make that call? It's our lives. You're bitching that everyone else is being lied to, but it gave us a chance to have a regular-ass life outside of this insanity. You didn't ask any of us. You snap. What gives you the right to place your ability to pretend that things are fine above everyone else's right to know about what's really going on? Karkat says back just as quickly. They can't do anything about it. You argue loudly. Yeah, they can't do anything about it, which already leaves people helpless, and you're advocating for helpless and ignorant. Would Vicari have died if he'd known what to look out for? Karkat demands. That's not fair. We warned people about him. He shouldn't have ever been out there. Aradia interrupts. You wouldn't have had to warn people about him if everyone knew what the warning signs for this mindfuckery is. Ignorance only leaves people open to being preyed upon, Karkat argues. There's an error noise, and then a sound of surprise from Solix as you feel psionic shift. I think he's asking what about people who hear about the Void and have to go find out about its secrets, like a completionist kind of vibe, Solix says uncertainly. Lost a few lab assistants and scientists that way, Bro remarks casually, like he's not talking about the deaths of people he worked with. I'm not saying there's no harmless option, but if people knew to be aware of that kind of obsession, it would still help, Karkat insists. That's not... You start, but Karkat interrupts you. Shut up! I'm asking you a question now! Karkat snaps. You didn't even answer all of mine, you argue. My answer is part of this question. So, here, let me paint you a mental picture here. I know Gamzee wishes I'd waited until you were all back and that I'd told him about this. Is it fair to say that opinion is shared here? Karkat asks. I think it probably would have gone more smoothly if we'd all been here the whole time. Aradia agrees. That was a shit show, and AA's right that there was probably a better time, but as for if you should have told everyone or not at all, then leave me out of it. I don't know enough about this to say. Solix says. Yeah, you should have waited, and we could have set your shit straight and prevented this whole thing. You nod. Great. So, let's imagine that situation where you get your wish. You all come back, I come forward to all of you about what I know, and you convince me not to say anything. To not publish any information, to become an official balancer just like all of you and do whatever the captain says. So, let's say that goes on for 10 years, since that's the round number of complete disaster that keeps cropping up. 10 years. Now, I don't know about you, but we're all the same age, and when I look at 13-year-old kids, I don't see people who could be just a few years away from working in the same office as me. I see little children. Karkat begins. I guess that's fair. Sometimes I see something that someone's written online, and all I can think is like, I am 14 and this is deep, which, if someone had said to me when I was that age, I'd flip shit, but still. Solix admits. Right, but add 10 years onto your age now, and you're definitely seeing a 13-year-old that way. Basically an infant. Karkat says. Where is this going? Bro says under his breath, but not so quietly that you don't catch it. Let's say, then, that this theoretical 13-year-old kid goes through something. Something like Gamzee or Dave did. Something that leaves someone haunting them. They end up like us. So, here's my question, Dave. Are you gonna look this traumatized literal child that's haunted by a ghost of someone close to them, that they have to do this job, that they have to do it and never tell anyone about it, that they can't explain shit to their friends, they can't get therapy about it, they have to act like everything is fine, they have to keep silent about all of this shit, because if they don't, you tell them that everyone they've ever known will die and it'll be their fault. Are you gonna tell that kid they've got to accept that they have to do a job that, I'm gonna be honest, doesn't seem to have a great life expectancy? Because I have to tell you that even if you got me to agree to keep my mouth shut and do this for that time, I'm never putting a child in that position. Karkat says darkly. That's not... You don't do the job at that age. That's not how it happened. You insist. It's not how it happened. It was pretty clear what we were gonna do, Gamzee says lightly. I feel like we're doing our predecessors a disservice. They weren't cruel to us, Aradia adds. Really? Okay. Stop me when you get to a bit that's not cruel. Gamzee watches his ancestor get murdered, sees his ancestor executed for it, then gets haunted by that motherfucker. He's told what's happening. This adult tells him the rules of if you talk, everyone dies, and that's on you, and lets you know that you're expected to do this until you die. Karkat lists off. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you under the impression that this shit was fair? None of this is fair, you shout at Karkat. Don't you try that shit on me. The fact that any of you got haunted wasn't fair at all, especially given what set that off for several of you. That's not fair. That's the universe taking a massive shit on you for no reason. I'm not arguing that. But some adult choosing to threaten you into silence, isolating you and forcing you into this role is cruel. Someone chose to do that to you, and it's sick, and it's evil. If I could go back in time and find the moment that someone made any of you do this, I'd toss that asshole into space myself. Fate dealt you a shitty hand, and this theoretical kid got just as unlucky. I am asking you if you're going to look at that kid in the same position you were and do the same goddamn thing. Karkat says harshly. You try, but you can't get anything else out. Imagine that you're whoever told you all of that. Knowing what 13-year-old you was going through, could you really make that worse for him? Karkat asks softly. No, Sam wasn't like that. The other balancers were dealing with a bad situation, and yeah, it sucked, but it was what it was, and you couldn't do anything about it. Nothing has ever been fair or okay. Why would it start then? You had to be practical. You had a job to do. You were just a kid. Karkat almost whispers. Oh my fucking god, someone shut him up already. Bro groans. Don't, you managed to say.
Shit like this is making you soft, and people like him are a fucking liability. You don't stop the end of the universe by sitting around holding hands and saying positive affirmations in sugar-sweet voices. Boo-hoo, he's not gonna compromise his precious ethics to literally save our species. Instead, he's gonna sit on his high horse and damn a whole ship of people to death, kids included, rather than tell one kid that shit sucks, so deal with it. Fucking cry about it.
Bro sneers. At least he has a moral backbone, unlike you. Solix snaps at him.
Oh, you want to know my moral position? If I knew that it'd save every person alive, human and troll, if it'd bring our planets back even, and all I had to do to make that happen was dropkick a baby into a volcano, I'd do it in a second. This self-righteous asshole's not a saint, he's a fucking coward.
Bro argues back.
Watch your mouth,
Gamzee snarls.
Fuck you. Baby's first moral philosophy book over there is either a liar or an idiot. Want to know which? Ask him this. He's told the whole ship about us. Ask him what he thinks everyone would do if y'all refuse to do your jobs. No mob of people is gonna sit around and die on principle while jerking each other off on how noble they are. Nah, you're gonna get a gang of people threatening to throw anyone you give a shit about out into space to make you do your job.
Bro hisses. Shut up! You try to snap, but your voice comes out wrong, hurt and scared instead. Earliest lesson around your parents. Never show fear. It's like sharks and blood.
Yeah, see, you know I'm right.
Bro laughs. No, just stop. You try. You can feel the weight of him on your soul, and it's so much like how it was when you were that 13-year-old kid, when you couldn't make him shut up or go away. If you tried to make him now, you know you couldn't. You hear that sound of electrical discharge again, right as Bro takes another step closer to you. There's a flare of darkness in your mind's eye, a scuffle of size, shape, and Bros up against each other, then a pained, glitchy sound, and then just Bro. Ghosts are shouting, people are getting to their feet. It's a lot. Too slow, Bro says with malevolent satisfaction in his tone. Bro crouches down, and you can feel him watching you.
People aren't like that, even if they say they are. You know how I know? People knew about you, about every test. The amount of paperwork you generated, all the people who saw that, everyone in the lab, everyone who funded us, everyone who looked at our work, everyone knew, and no one did anything because your life against everyone else's is nothing, Bro says. He vanishes then. Point fucking made. There's chaos around you, and you just can't. For a bit, everything is just white fur between your fingers and a large canine head on your shoulder. You're back against a wall, which you weren't before. You pull your face from Beck's neck, and he licks your own neck in return. When you reach for him, he licks your hands, too. Jade always said it was meant to be a sensation to focus on, so you weren't panicking, but to you it was always kind of gross. You've seen where that tongue goes. Then again, thinking that is better than thinking, nope, not going there. That went badly,
Gamzee says quietly next to you. You hadn't even realized he was there. You nod, a little shaky.
It'd be a real shame if GHB heard me saying how Bro was calling him a weak coward,
Gamzee remarks casually. Bro hadn't said that, but it would absolutely instigate a long-running game of murdering Bro from vents. Honestly, you're in favor.
Shame,
you croak and push Beck down into your lap, focusing on scratching your fingers through his fluffy, pointy ears. You can hear the sound of quiet arguing from Aradia's respite block. Between your hearing being a little duller than normal and the door being shut, you can't make much out.
I never thought about it how Karkat said what we'd do with the next group,
Gamzee says, his voice soft.
Me neither. I guess same as it always was, like with us and the generation that brought us in.
You agree.
It's not like this shit's ever been fair. It wasn't fair to us.
Gamzee agrees.
It is what it is,
you and Gamzee say at basically the same time. You're not generalizing here. Not all past-focused people are like you and Gamzee. A lot are almost future-like, determining what will be from what was. But those of you who are past-based and got your ghost like you and Gamzee did, yeah, you tend to be pretty stuck in the past. Both you and Gamzee managed to claw your way out of your far distant pasts, but you just dug a hole into the present and lined it with memories until you'd made a little cocoon. You with Jade, him with Karkat. A different how it's always been, but still the past. But imagining that, picturing a kid in your shoes and working out what you'd do is something else.
I'll tell him you're back,
Gamzee says, unfolding himself and standing up. You scratch Beck's neck. Arati's floor is going to be covered in white fur. The door opens and shuts, then again. Lighter footsteps now. You know who has those. Karkat kneels down in front of you. Even if you didn't know the sound of his walk, you can smell him. Your senses aren't as acute as Terezi's sense of smell, but you could absolutely pick out all of your friends and family just by that. His soap and the food he eats, the materials he wears in his clothes, his biochemistry or whatever.
I'm sorry, Karkat whispers. It was him, not you.
You tell him.
Yeah, but I pushed,
Karkat points out. You don't know what to say, so you just pet Beck some more.
Can I sit down with you?
He asks. Karkat, not Beck. Beck doesn't speak out loud in words, as far as you know. It's a big wall, you say.
It really isn't, but sure.
Karkat mutters and awkwardly shuffles past you to turn and lean back on the wall, same as you are.
Solix caught us up on some of that. Gamzee figured he'd stay with you. I wasn't trying to say that I think you're like him, if that's where any of this was going. It's just really easy to do something terrible by mistake, by not thinking, you know? I really never meant to screw up your life. I never wanted to hurt you. I wasn't trying to rescue you either,
Karkat says gently. I believe you, you mumble.
It's easy for me to say all of this. I walked into this as an adult with a history of arguing with anyone who talks. You were a kid. You couldn't have done anything, and I'm sure it's way harder to get out of that when you're already in.
Karkat goes on. It's a pretty weak excuse, you point out.
It's not an excuse. It's an explanation. I couldn't agree to doing all of this, to lying to people or getting more people on as balancers in the future. If you heard about it for the first time now.
The question is unsaid, but it hangs in the air. You pet Beck and do it so you sort of turn his ears inside out for a moment before they spring back to their normal shape. Bro's right. If people know that you're the thing that can save their lives and you refuse, things get ugly. People want to live. You tell him, your voice quiet.
Well, yeah,
Karkat says simply. You turn and look at him out of habit, despite not getting anything out of that.
It's really rare for people to be in a high-pressure, life-or-death situation and come out of it ethically squeaky clean. Even when it's not immediate, it's hard to stand up for something when it'd make your life hard or awkward. That's how bad systems perpetuate, by being hard to resist in the moment and by being way too big to undo in one clean move. But that's the whole reason you decide things calmly as a society, in law or in whatever. So when you're put in that position, things are set up for you to be better, not to encourage you to be worse,
Karkat argues. You're not fully sure what he's getting at.
There's no way for little teenager Dave to change a whole system and save everything in one go. This isn't a young adult novel with a thrilling conclusion and a love triangle or whatever the fuck. Kid Dave can't do shit and isn't bad for being caught up in an already existing shitty system. But the system is shitty and deserved to be burned to the ground so that when we get confronted with a new balancer in however many years, they don't go through what you did. You don't have to make the call about whether or not to tell them to keep it to themselves because it's already fixed. If you don't want people to get desperate, then limit the situations where you're going to end up threatening to throw people's families out of airlocks to make them do what you want. Karkat insists.
It seems like a cheating answer to the question of, like, fucking up a couple of kids to save everyone. You mumble.
Okay, 2 things. Somehow I thought that magically summoned Solix, but no. 2 things. Firstly, the certainty that everything is that black and white is sketchy at best. The science was pretty shitty. So really that question is it worth deeply scarring a bunch of kids to maybe possibly save people? We're not fully sure. Our data was kind of shit. And that's a lot less compelling. Second of all, let's say I have godlike knowledge that tells me with absolute certainty that either I go through with doing that to innocent kids or everyone dies. Somehow I know that's completely true. In this highly sketchy thought experiment, I'm still not doing it. Karkat says firmly.
That's a whole ship of people. Families, little kids, grubs just molting and everything. You point out.
I also live here, yes. I wouldn't feel great about it, but here's the thing. 99.9999999% of species that have ever existed have gone extinct. Nature overwhelmingly is a cold hard bitch. We're not special. The only thing that makes us different is we're hauling ass away from ours in ships we built ourselves. Karkat says flatly.
So what, you've hit nothing matters then? You ask him.
Oh, fuck that, no. I'm just saying cosmically it wouldn't matter. But also, if we bought our survival that way, I don't know if we'd be the same. I don't want to exist at that price, you know? I get it if someone else took that chance and did it instead of me, but that's not a line I'm crossing. So, yeah, I told everyone. Or, I was part of a very badly planned effort to do that. Because if everyone knows, then that situation won't come up again. That choice doesn't get made. You don't have to have that conversation with some future kid and decide what you're going to do in some impossible dilemma. He explains.
This still feels like cheating the answer somehow. How can he be so sure of himself?
I'm sorry I took away your ability to pretend like this wasn't happening. Genuinely, I am. Faking normality was probably really good for compartmentalizing all this shit. I'm sorry those files about you got out. I'm sorry that the execution of this dumb fuck plan went so impressively wrong. But I care about you. The last thing I wanted was to hurt you. But in answer to your way earlier question, yes, I think I did the morally right thing here, and I'm not sorry about that part. Karkat says.
You pause. Did you hear about what Bro said?
I don't know. Gamzee stayed out here with you, and Solix told us that, more or less, that he was disagreeing with what I said and taking a position of the ends justifying the means. I got the impression that he's had that idea for a long time. He didn't say much more than that, but it was pretty clear that it got really personal. Karkat answers. So Solix went light on the details. That's fair. You appreciate that. You run your fingers up Beck's muzzle from the wet edge of his nose all the way to between his eyes, over and over.
I never really thought about what I would have done.
You tell him softly as your fingers trace a path through fur. I think it's a pretty rough subject to deal with. I'm not blaming you here. Karkat says, most likely far more forgivingly than he should do.
I don't know what I'd be like by then. I don't plan for things like that. I mean, 10 years? It's kind of an assumption that I'd even be... You pause. You can feel Karkat looking at you.
This is why you preferred people not knowing. Either they were like you and got it, or they didn't know and you could just lie. Well, and the people who knew about what you do, but mostly they have it impressed upon them to let you all more or less say and do whatever you want without criticism.
That was kind of dark, huh? Sorry. Like I said, I don't think about it much. I guess I either refuse to keep it all going when that situation happens, or I keep it going and I hate it, or by that point, Bro's just got me thinking like him. But I don't know how much credit you should give me. I already told Solix why we have to keep things secret, got him to agree, so I'm already there, I guess. You say softly.
That's not how that happened, Solix says from out of nowhere. You didn't hear any door open.
Fuck, is your hearing that bad, or were you just too focused? You told me what was going on when I saw you doing weird void shit, and I agreed to keep my mouth shut, but as soon as it looked like I might be a balancer after all, you got really upset about how unfair it was, and how you didn't want that to happen to me. I had to pester you to get you to show me how to make this stuff work. You weren't exactly strong-arming me here, Solix says flatly, and now you can hear him walking closer. Karkat hesitates. I'm trying not to sound like an asshole here, really, but Dave, have you ever talked to a professional about things? You don't want to make that more vague? Ever said words to people with jobs? Ever... Hey! Solix's mockery is cut off as Karkat smacks him. I mean proper therapy. I know you all get screened to make sure that you're not one minor inconvenience away from a nervous breakdown right before you get on the shuttle, but I mean actual therapy to help you and not make you productive. Karkat clarifies. Kind of? You say slowly. You're greeted with an expectant silence. When you first become an actual sailor, you get a proper workup, like 5 or 10 sessions to work out that you're not a danger to people, but they go over your past a little. I mean, they're meant to go over it a lot, but they have to pass balancers, so they weren't making me talk. But we talked about other stuff, what moving was like, new family. You explain. I don't know how it was with your dad, but I never got the impression at school that you found having new sisters to be hard to deal with. Am I entirely off base, or did you reroute your mandated therapy to a topic that wasn't especially hard for you? Karkat asks suspiciously. That's not fair. I'm sure there were lots of times when it was difficult, Solix says in your defense. It was a change. I'm not sure I'd say it was... You try to say. Like that time they turned you blue? Solix interrupts you. Why would you bring that up, and why now? Karkat hisses at him. I remembered it yesterday. It's way funnier in hindsight. Especially as he convinced you that you asking him if he knew he was blue was insensitive since he's never seen blue before, and you practically had an aneurysm out of guilt then and there. Solix says brightly. Maybe I should go back to therapy and talk about that. Between Karkat bullying me for my eyesight and my sister's dying me, that's like months of sessions, right? You ask. No, you should go to actual therapy. I know everyone is biased and none of this is fair, but you're still my... Well, I still think of you as my friend, and I care about you. I want you to feel better than you do now, so it doesn't all seem so hopeless. I entirely get it if you don't think of me as your friend after this, but still, Karkat says, his voice going quiet there at the end. On that subject, there was a reason I came out here. It wasn't just to give you shit, KK. That's my main goal in life, but not my present objective. AA and Gamzee were talking again about all of this. Aradia's happy to teach you and me about all of her future stuff, but there's kind of the impression that Gamzee would prefer it if Dave taught me past things, which is probably a good idea. I'm not sure I'd be able to learn a lot from him, even if everyone was as well-behaved as possible. And he pointed out that if Dave's already teaching me past stuff, then it makes sense for Dave to also teach you how to actually balance with him, seeing as you're on opposite sides. And then Gamzee'll just... I don't know, he said he'd pick up more of the work. I'm not sure if you have some kind of rota or whatever, Dave, but it sounded like he'd pick up more of your shifts or something. Solix says, shifting from talking to Karkat to you. Would you even be okay with that? Karkat asks you. I don't know, you say softly, turning your focus to Beck again. I get why you wouldn't want to be around me. It wasn't the worst breakup with Gamzee, so I can manage that, Karkat says in a hurry. Not to be an asshole here, but I don't think Gamzee would be suggesting Dave for you if he felt it was no big deal for him, Solix says, his voice uncomfortable. No, but it's not like I have a lot of choice here. You both have to learn this now. I can't change anything that happened. Can't make everyone unknow everything about me. I've got to work with you, so I can't sit here all world's smallest violin playing the world's saddest song. I've got to deal with it. And at least he didn't fuck me over on purpose or because I'm some dumb, helpless kid who needed saving. You were trying to be ethical, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe if people like you had been around when I was a kid, I wouldn't be so messed up. You say softly.
What you want matters to me. You're not throwing a wiggler tantrum over nothing. You don't need to get over it. What the fuck, Dave? I can't magically fix every problem, but I'm not gonna make more for you if I can help it.
Karkat insists. Yeah, but that sentence should really go somewhere. Don't just leave it there. You're not thrilled about the idea of spending that much time with Karkat after this, but at least, you don't know. Something about how he explained himself made it all hurt less. It's not that you're less upset about everyone knowing everything about you, or that he acted so fucking stupidly and broke so much. He's not even saying that he was wrong like Hal did. If anything, he's certain he was right, and yet it's different to Rose and Dirk somehow. Either way, you're completely burnt out, and you don't hate Karkat enough to put effort into being angry at him anymore. You still screwed me over, you told him.
I know. I'm sorry. I can ask Gamzee.
Karkat starts. But you need to learn, and if I'm already teaching Solix, then it makes sense to teach you. You can learn together, and I've got a balance with you in the future, so avoiding this ain't gonna help me or anyone. You go on.
That's okay. We can do that. Do we need to work out some ground rules or something for this? I don't want to pressure you or invade your space, especially after all this. Maybe we could work out a schedule. I could easily pull the information from Solix's shifts and mine to narrow down...
Karkat says hastily.
KK, I think when you got to the point of having to draw out an explanatory multi-person schedule for protecting other people's feelings, it's safe to say you're overthinking it.
Solix says flatly.
I'm trying to be organized and sensitive,
Karkat protests. Now that needs to be on a shirt. Solix snickers. You take out your palm husk and flip it to text-to-speech mode. Notes, your phone says aloud. New t-shirt idea, Karkat. I'm organized and sensitive. All caps, cloud theme, font pink. It goes on. Got it, you say, and then switch that deeply irritating mode off and put it back in your pocket like you didn't just do that so Karkat could hear you noting it down. You can't hear Karkat grinding his teeth, but you have enough experience of pissing Karkat off when you can't see him to be able to feel that aura of about to flip a table. What you do clearly hear is the door to the other room open, and Gamzee and Aradia come out into the main room.
Alright, so what's the situation then?
Aradia asks as she approaches you. I'll take them. I can deal with past stuff for Solix and how to actually do stuff. They might need to pick your thing sponge for future or whatever, but yeah. You agree. You can hear how tired you sound. If you're doing that, then I can do, 70-30? Gamzee suggests, which is a pretty goddamn generous offer. Wow, deal. You agree before he can change his mind.
Okay, so now that...
Aradia walks off into a different room, and now you can't hear her well enough to know what she's saying. I can't hear you! You call out. Oh, she's looking for a... Hold on. Solix gets up, and you hear him step around Karkat and go into the little hallway bit by the door, and then come back. You have 1,000 hair ties. How can you never find them? I found some in my clothes after I moved. Solix says, acting like he's annoyed, but you can hear that fondness there.
They run away. Sorry, Dave. I was saying we've got that meeting real soon, and I'm not saying you can't handle it, but if Bro is going to act like that with you, then it's probably not a good idea for you to be there.
Aradia says. No, you're right. I don't think I'd be any help either. I think I'm just gonna do some things, go home. Terezi wants to do blind dinner later, so yeah. You sigh.
If it matters, Terezi wasn't really involved in this at all. June told her some of it right before she got arrested, pretty much. She knew something was going on before then, but nothing else.
Karkat says softly, always trying to make sure people aren't mad at each other. You nod. That does help a little, but you're reasonably sure Terezi would have laid out the facts of the case the moment that you got there. So, wait, are the rest of us going still, or is it just you two? Solix asks. I have to be there. Cankry was preparing for it all last night, and he talked my ear off about it this morning. I'm sure he's got a million public questions for us, so everything's on the record, so I can't not go. Karkat says, with the weariness of someone who's had to listen to Cankry talk for hours.
You were with Cankry?
Gamzee asks in surprise. Yeah, he helped me pick up some of my things. Karkat replies.
Oh, I thought... I stayed with Tavros.
Gamzee chuckles. I'm glad we both avoided our hive. I'm sure our furniture appreciated the vacation or whatever. Seriously, you don't need to do... You know what? We can talk about this later and not in front of everyone. Karkat says hastily. Aw, but that was shaping up to be a solid Karkat rant. You already had the furniture vacation metaphor in there. Aradia says brightly. Don't test me, Megiddo. Karkat grumbles. I could go get popcorn if that'd help. She laughs. I'm going to kick your knees the other way around. Karkat snaps at her, which only makes her dissolve into a fit of giggles. Well, you say, and nudge Beck to his feet. On that note, I'm out. You haul yourself onto your feet, steadying yourself on Beck's harness. Dave, wait. Solix starts, and you reflexively tense for some shit, some question about can you make it home, or do you feel okay? If you're having dinner with TZ, I'll get my own stuff, but if it's not real food and she's laid out a platter of whatever she can find with the most food coloring, then let me know. I really want to order from that East Alternian/Korean place that does those huge menu sets, but there's no way I can eat that on my own, so let me know, Solix says, his tone going wistful as he talks about the food. Believe me, I've seen him try. I only want one thing from that place, and it's always, I'll get the set, maybe you'll want some after all, or I'm sure it'll keep for leftovers, but no. Aradia snickers. And I have clearly learned from those experiences and grown as a person, Solix retorts. $5 says Dave comes back to find you in a food coma, Aradia says slyly. Going now, you say again, and figure you'll let yourself out. You open the door, step through, and when it shuts behind you and Beck automatically, you're not sure where you should go right away. After just a moment, your thoughts circle back to both what Karkat had said and what Bro had said, and like that, you know where you're going. It's not somewhere you go often, so this is actually a route that you have to pay attention to. You have to check a few signs and run your fingers over irritatingly badly done braille here and there, but you get to where you need to go. This is the memorial strip of the ship. Although remains are cremated and then either rejected or kept by loved ones, people like a reminder that they were there. Everyone on the ship, regardless of status, gets a memorial square on the strip. Name, date of hatching/birth, date of death, the symbol for their job, and then a line about who they were, a prayer or a quote. You've been here maybe only 10 times since you've been on this ship. Once at least each for the balancers before you who died, but you've been here several times for Sam since he died. As you walk from one end of the memorial strip along the quiet path, you think about all the people whose names you're passing. You're pretty sure that people would expect you, of all people, to know what happens when you die. You know about ghosts, about balancing, but beyond that, nothing. If anything, you think you get less than everyone else. Given what you know, it's hard to have faith in anything that could fill that gap. Now and then, you pause and reach out to touch the wall, your fingers gliding over the cut-in letters on little square plaques as you place the date of each of them so you know how far along you are. You'd probably have a hard time finding it here, but there is a plaque here for Matuna, nestled between everyone else so it sits on the day he was abducted. It's entirely blank, because he wasn't confirmed dead. You figure Solix must have argued against it being filled in or something. All the same, the placement of it chronologically means you know who it's for. You spotted it when you were here before and worked out what it was. Given that you now know the exact minute that Matuna died, you wonder if they're going to have to move all the ones after him, or if they'll keep him there and give him more text, a date of abduction and a date of death, perhaps. Solix could ask him, which is more say than anyone else gets over their memorial. You keep going and eventually find the one you're looking for. Sam Ishida, Your fingers run over the letters of his name, the shared sailor symbol, his date of birth, and the date he died. Like you said, everyone gets a quote, and the sailors chose his together. A hero when it counted. Each letter passes under your fingers, and when you're done, your hand simply drops to your side. You don't know what's true now. You thought you had it all figured out, but now... When you were 13, you got to this ship scared, traumatized, and haunted. You could do things and knew about things that you couldn't tell anyone about. You knew the cost if they believed you, and realistically, you knew people likely wouldn't believe you. You got a new family that you loved, a parent who loved you even if it took you time to adjust to him. You made friends, got a girlfriend, got Beck to help you everywhere. It's not like Sam was a father figure for you. He was your mentor. But he wasn't not a father figure, too. You know Gamzee doesn't have this problem with him. Young trolls aren't as inclined to form that bond with adults as humans are. Dad was and is wonderful, kind, and caring, a version of masculinity that Bro loathes but you desperately needed. Dad was physically affectionate with all of you, a vast difference from your biological parents. He supported and loved you no matter what. But Sam was different. He knew about the balance, the void. You had someone you could talk to about it. He was an adult who saw that you'd seen all of this, saw that you had a ghost, and he treated you accordingly. He didn't wrap you up in cotton wool to protect you, but he didn't experiment on you or hurt you. There was no pandering, only practicality and a straightforwardness with what he expected you to learn. He told you how things were instead of keeping you oblivious. He told you about his missions and let you know in great detail what happened. He helped you train so you could pass the sailor's test with ease. It's not that he was forcing you to do anything, not like Mom and Bro did, but you knew what he expected of you. You did everything you could to meet every expectation he had of you. You wanted him to see that you would protect the ship like he did. Dad was always proud of you, as a default, but with Sam you earned that, and better still, you could impress him. It wasn't like he was some taskmaster. He was friendly and nice. He taught you how to tattoo. Sam was a goddamn hero. He saved people all the time and protected the ship without a word of complaint. When he nearly died trying to save Matuna, it cemented in your mind just how great he was. A hero when it counted. But then there's Karkat. The way Karkat talked about all of this makes you feel wrong. Because Karkat points out that he could never take a fucked up kid and compel them into silence and damn them to this life with no outside help. He was pretty clear that doing that is a horrific, monstrous thing, and the moment you really tried to picture talking to your younger self, you felt it wasn't good. But Sam was a hero, a great man. Yet that idea can't exist comfortably with this truth that Karkat is just slapped down on your plate in front of you without you even ordering it. Karkat is a terrible waiter, but now you have to deal with it. So, Sam. He saved people's lives, absolutely. He protected the ship, as do you. He never complained about any of it, at least to you, which you remember thinking made him really heroic when you were a kid. That's one of those things you decided was true when you were younger, and now you're dubiously inspecting this cut of fuckery that Karkat has served you. You're able to slice out that slice of the idea and squint at it. It's just there on your intellectual fork. Sam's a hero. He never complained about what he had to do, is an idea that feels suspiciously adjacent to Bro's brand of real men don't cry, with the very pointed threat that you'd better not cry or complain about anything. Sam being good at that doesn't actually mean shit, so you're just gonna discard that part right now. The real question here is not, is protecting people and the ship heroic and a good thing, because obviously it is, though maybe heroic might be overselling that. Rather, the question is, can you align your ideas of Sam with Karkat's argument? Because Karkat is claiming that what Sam did to you was just fucking evil. You want to say that it's not, that Karkat doesn't know what he's talking about. He didn't know him like you did. Even you can hear how defensive that sounds. You can hear how much it sounds like you're clinging to this idea of what Sam was because of what that means to you. Do you believe that Sam was good because he was? Or do you believe that because it's too much to think about the idea of you having had another person who was supposed to look out for you doing the exact opposite? Sam was your mentor. He was meant to help you, not mess you up more. So, which is it? You're getting in a tangle. Beck nudges your hand with his nose and tries to pull you. You go with him and find that Beck has helpfully guided you to an empty bench. You sit, pat Beck, tell him he's a good boy, and start over. Balancers just happen. They occur in a population, and they always have. From what you can gather pre-apocalypse, the ratio might have been smaller, and the powers they had might have differed slightly in strength or application, given that the void was different then, but they just happen. Aradia came out of nowhere, and so did Fazer, though there's some time nonsense with Aradia. Gamzee's balancer status is not exactly artificial, but it's a known way that they can occur. Fuck someone up and kill someone else near them, and you massively up the chances that they'll get haunted and become a balancer. Not always, but it happens. You were a combination of predisposition and your mother's attempts at engineering, although, judging by Mituna, you can see she's got more practice at it since. The point is that there's always going to be people like you. The void is also always there. People's lives depend on staying away from the void, and so balancers have to do that job. Well, they don't have to, but you think that if you've got an incredibly rare skill that people's lives depend on, then not doing it is pretty much an asshole move. It's not fair, it's just how it is. As idealistic as Karkat is, it's irresponsible to not tell some 13-year-old kid with those powers what they are and why they're important, because someone messing with things they don't understand is dangerous. So no matter what, you'd go explain things to this kid that you may as well make 13-year-old you. Sam was clear that he wanted you to finish school before you became a sailor, even though you wasted no time there at all. But that said, you did very much need your education in order to do the sailor parts of your job, so you're not sure you can claim that as evidence that he was trying to look out for you. Not to mention that you dropping out of school to become a sailor wouldn't have been allowed, seeing as everyone was pretending like you were normal. It wasn't really an option, so it's kind of hard to credit him with that. The way the whole deal is means that you couldn't talk to anyone but other balancers about this, and you were way more attached to him than the other balancers of his generation. God, you can't have been subtle about it either. You were so keen to learn anything you could and master anything he put before you. He had to have seen that. Yeah, sure, he was your mentor, but it's looking a lot more like he exploited your fucked up brain to get you to become the perfect sailor and balancer. That feels pretty exploitative, pretty goddamn evil. Okay, but, consider this alternative, okay? Let's say Sam told you the basics and said that he didn't want you to get involved in any of this while you were still a kid, that he'd teach you how to turn the volume off on Bro, but the rest of it, he wanted you to be a kid as much as you could with Bro stuck to your soul. Then, when you're an adult, he'll tell you everything and teach you everything if you want it. And then, he and the rest of his generation die, and none of yours knows jack shit, and you fuck it up and people die needlessly, all because Sam was trying to be sympathetic and fair to your feelings. Fuck, it's like you have Bro and Karkat arguing in your head. There's got to be some middle ground between those ideas. You're pretty sure that trading you to fight a war with a primal force of the universe that you can't tell anyone about, endlessly preparing you for that, and not leaving you any chance to say no, wasn't that middle ground. Sam wasn't evil, though. He cared about you. He gave you advice about plenty of things outside of balancing. He encouraged your art. Yeah, he probably shared a lot of horrifying things about the void that you could have done without hearing, and he made it clear that you had to do the job, but you pretty much have a moral obligation to do that. And here's the thing. Sam wasn't the first balancer ever. Someone was his mentor years before all of this. He had no more choice than you do. That doesn't make it okay, though. The reality is probably that Sam got brought into all of this and told to be a balancer and made the best of it. The truth probably is that he did like being your mentor, that he did care for you, that he was trying to prepare you so you wouldn't die like so many others have. He taught you because that's what he was taught. It's not that you couldn't talk about the balance because he wanted to exploit you, but That's just how it is. It was. But he still looked you in the eyes as a terrified kid and brought you into all of this, told you that if you blabbed, you risked killing everyone you loved, told you what to study and how to train. And bro was right. There were other balancers, the captain, a lot of people on the ship who knew about the void. They knew when you showed up, knew that Sam was mentoring you, and none of them said, "Hey, doesn't this seem psychologically damaging to a 13-year-old kid?" And it's not always because they didn't think about it. It's because they didn't want to do anything, because it benefited them, or because they couldn't or wouldn't change the system. There were no Karkats there then to die on their principles, to say that there must be some other way than this. No one saw the situation around them and decided that the only way to fix this was to unleash an insane computer virus on the whole ship, blowing the whole secrecy thing open and basically starting a revolution. No one showed up when you were a kid to have a maximum volume tantrum about how getting executed for treason was better than conditioning you for a war you could never win and didn't even sign up for. Sam, he wasn't evil. Someone dragged him into this. He had to live in the same silence that you've had to. He had to watch his friends die even as he tried to help people. He encouraged you, supported you. He nearly died trying to save Matuna. Those parts were heroic, but he wasn't a hero. You can't get back the last 10 years of your life, and you're still pissed at all the danger that Karkat has put people in because he didn't know lots of really important shit. But you're pretty sure that what Karkat did was heroic. He was trying to protect people, both now and also future generations of balancers, and he was willing to risk dying for that. Bro said that no one does that no one like Karkat is around, that no one sees people like you and helps. But Karkat did. You don't hate Sam, even if thinking about him now feels off. He wasn't a monster, but he still passed all of his problems along down the line instead of stopping it. He meant something to you, and you meant something to him. You don't regret knowing him, but you wish someone like Karkat had been there too. You think, at least, that when the time comes, you want to be more like Karkat than Sam. And that says something.
Hey, TZ, can we do dinner earlier? I have a question for you about justice. Wait, you're probably at that big meeting.
You had me at justice. Also, I'm not allowed to properly participate in this meeting because of crimes that I committed.
Like the treason and jailbreak? And assault too, I guess?
Alleged.
Of course.
I'm already on the way to my hive.
For justice.
For justice!
Well, there. If anything will help you sort out this mess of feelings and declare someone guilty, it'll be Terezi. You can do that, at least.